I wrestle this, and I actually have I'm going to draw an analogy from my first psilocybin journey. And I think I talked about this in the one episode, but there was a point in time in it where I was in such a bad place in my old, and sorry if this is a repeat, but I talked about like in SEAL training, a little trick that I had, and a lot of guys I think did the same thing, that you use mentally to kind of get the edge in a really bad moment, was like knowing that like the instructors can't stop time, and there is a schedule, and at 3 p.m. this thing's going to end, and we're going to go to the next crazy thing. And just knowing that gave you a little bit of an edge, right? It was still terrible in the moment, but you know this couldn't go on in perpetuity, right? Eventually we have to go to dinner. Like, they have to feed us. We know that, right? So I that was a trick that I learned that got me through. So during the worst of the psilocybin journey, that instinct popped in of like, oh, they can't stop time. And I was like, all right, just endure this. It's dark out. It's just only maybe 2 hours left. Just dig in. And that's when the medicine laughed at me and was like, oh, really? Well, I'm going to show you what forever feels like, and you're going to live in this forever. And that's when I went into like a panic of like, oh man, like I can't stop, like,
am I stuck now?
Oh man. And like, I can't even quantify that feeling. You can probably relate, but that realization that, wait a second, like, is this about to make me feel what 8,000 years feels like? And that's exactly what happened. Same thing in my personal life. I had the realization that these milestones aren't the solution, right? Meaning, like, as soon as you get that thing, it doesn't mean all these other things go away, or problems, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's so much deeper than, and just a few like silly examples. It's like, when I was in high school, like, I was working really hard with my grades, and I was living in the weight room, and I was eating like a horse, and I was like, practicing like crazy for football. I wanted to be a Division I football player and ideally go to an Ivy League school. I wanted to have the academic and the Division I ball, right? As soon as you get there, you put in all the work for all of high school, you think, okay, you've made it. But then you realize it's just, you normalize it very quickly. And you don't ever think back to like the guy who was a junior in high school that would have dreamed of this. Instead, you're walking out to the practice field and it's 95 degrees out in August. You're like, God damn, this is our third practice of the day. Like, this sucks. You know what I mean? It just becomes normal again. And you don't appreciate, hey, I would have done anything to be walking out to a practice, 95 degrees, getting after it with a bunch of other, accomplished athletes, right? Same thing when I got into the SEAL teams, like that version of me that like literally, would stare at the ceiling every night thinking about what it would be to become a SEAL. Right. And you idolize these guys. You'd see a guy with the Garmin watch and the gator. Oh my God, that guy might be like, it's silly when you think of it now, but when you're 22 and you don't know any better, and then you get there and you go through all the stuff, and then you finally get to a platoon and you're, getting up at 2:00 in the morning, leaving your hotel to go do night jumps, or you're packing up a bunch of winter gear to go to like a 3-day exercise, like on a mountainside. And you're like, oh man, this sucks. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, are you kidding me? 5 years ago, that version of you would have done anything to do what you're about to do right now. Mm-hmm. So get in the Suburban, go do your night jumps, and appreciate that this is exactly what you wanted. You know what I mean? And same thing with financial success. All right, as soon as I get that, and that, then I'll be happy. And it's funny. I'm catching myself now, because my next illusion in this world is I really want to live on the inlet. And so I've been looking at houses, and I'm like, man, because I can have privacy, I can have my own yard, I can have a boat lift, a bigger house. So Ren, can have her giant playroom. I live on the beach now. It's awesome. Like, it's sick, but like, it's kind of crowded because it's at the entryway.
Yeah, you're in party spots.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's okay for Ren and I, but that's not the ultimate goal. And I had to catch myself the other day, because I actually have she sends me like an automated email of like properties that like meet my search criteria. So like every time I get one of those emails, I get excited to see. And I had to check myself the other day. It's like, okay, while this would be nice to buy a very expensive place on the inlet that very few people would ever have the opportunity to afford, you need to be very careful in thinking that all of a sudden this is going to bring you a deep sense of joy, right? If all those other things aren't intact, your level of happiness will go up for like a month. It'll be exciting, but then you'll normalize this as the new just standard, right? Oh, you're on the inlet with a boat lift. Like, oh, this is just normal, right? And you'll extract no incremental joy from that now, right? And that's a little unsettling, you know what I mean? Because for me, if it's a numbers goal, if it's something that's quantifiable, let's go. Because now I'm like, all right, now I'll show you. If you need me to get to this amount in a bank account, or you need me to achieve that, specific quantifiable task, that's what I'm good at, because I will reverse engineer how I'm going to get there, right? Okay, I need to become a SEAL. Okay, for 2 years, this is how I'm going to train. I know how to get there. Oh, you want to be a Division I football player? All right, this is the formula. Good grades, live in the weight room, eat like a horse, practice on the practice field. You know what I mean? Watch tape. Okay, it's a very easy formula, but it's these intangible things like, okay, I need you to extract joy from the moment. Go. And I'm like, what's the roadmap? I don't know. You know what I mean? And so I just think it's a cautionary tale for us. And we've talked about it before. This isn't original stuff. But making sure that you're not thinking that joy will come from these materialistic things, or things that you can put on a resume or your title. All those things that I mentioned, I'm proud of. It's a part of me. But it doesn't fucking matter anymore. It doesn't matter where I went to college. It doesn't matter what I did in the military. It doesn't matter how much we've achieved with Born Primitive. It's deeper than that. The most important measure for you and me right now is how are we as a father, right? Guess what? That's not quantifiable. You're not getting on podcasts. You're not getting invited on podcasts because, hey, we heard you're a really good dad. Will you come on our podcast? It's like, hey, we heard you, Born Primitive. We love it. You're the founder. Let's hear the origin story, right?
Yep.
So even the noise reinforces what you should focus on when it boils down to it. How are you as a family man? How are you as a father? What's your relationship with God, if that's important to you, which it is for me. So I just think it's one of those things that we need to always be kind of looking out for. And I think the fact that I'm at least thinking about it is a good thing, because I think some people are really blind. And I think part of it is some people maybe haven't achieved those milestones yet, so they don't know that it doesn't unlock the joy. And you've heard, you can hear celebrities or wherever. I mean, how many times have you heard, hey, they're living in, $20 million mansions in Hollywood and they're miserable, right? And so we know this already. It's been told to us by people that have been there and done that. But I think once you actually experience it, then you go, oh yeah, that Range Rover I bought didn't do jack shit for my happiness. And I don't like Range Rovers, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, as soon as I get that, or, oh, she's got like the pretty jewelry. As soon as I have as soon as I can afford that fancy watch and the Louis Vuitton purse, I'll be happy. It's like, no, if at the base, nothing else changes, like it will literally unlock nothing.